Guys, I think the Minnesota Timberwolves did amazing in the draft. First off, Josh Minnow is looking like the steal of the draft. Or you're going to be like, he shot 14% from college. He only attempted 14 threes in college. Okay, he's 6'8" with a 7-foot wingspan. All right, and he's a guy who literally will grab a ball off the rim for a rebound, then go coast to coast and have this incredible layup through traffic. And then obviously, like the next play, he's turning the ball over and having a difficult time, being able to control his energy. But after the blockbuster trade that sent Walker Kessler over to Utah, they have Wendell Moore and Minnow and Matteo Spagnolo, and they also have Dave McCormick. And Minnow was a highly touted 5-star recruit going to Memphis, and obviously he only started 5 games, averaged 6.6 points and 3.8 rebounds. And even though it's underwhelming, he stayed in the draft, and the Timberwolves obviously were intrigued by that tantalizing blend of size, skill, and are banking on the development program that Minnow will find his footing. And just watching him handle the ball in the open court and use a nice sense of timing to grab rebounds and hit a couple 3-pointers. He only hit 2 3-pointers on 14 attempts last year, like I said in the beginning of the video. He looks good. He looks good. Okay. And as the 45th pick coming to a team that expects to be in the playoffs, Minnow could spend a good bit of his time in Iowa with the Wolves, the Iowa Wolves. And I think he'll get a contract. He's too good to get a 2-way. Okay. They're not going to put him on a 2-way. And I think Minnow is entering his career and going to be good. Now, Minnow might be the flashier player, but Wendell Moore is going to go into the NBA doing the same thing he did in college. He was essentially a role player, and he was a really good one, so surrounded by stars. And someone tell me below, was Wendell Moore a 5-star recruit? Because I believe he was. And they made him a first-round pick because he projects more of a wing, but the Wolves have made him a primary ball handler in Vegas. He brings the ball up the court, initiating the offense, running the show, and is a sign of what the Wolves might see him long-term. He actually averaged like 5 assists last year and was one of the primary ball handlers for the Duke Blue Devils last year. And I think personally, Wendell Moore can play point guard, shooting guard, and small forward. So he can be a guard and a wing. And he's a guy that I think, if you look at him, this team doesn't have a lot of playmakers. So if Moore can develop that game sooner rather than later, it can lead to playing time sooner than expected. So I think that's something good. He's 6'5" with a 215-pound frame, and he's an average shooter. He, the other day he had 10 points and made 4 of 9 of his shots in the win over Denver. And right now the Wolves have D'Angelo Russell and Jordan McLaughlin as the point guard rotation, with Anthony Edwards and Jalen Noel expected to play shooting guard, and D'Angelo Russell and Jordan McLaughlin point guards, Jalen Noel and Anthony Edwards shooting guards, with Taurean Prince and Jaden McDaniels at small forward. So I think it's all in all, it's smart. It looks good. I want to hear your thoughts down below, guys, and let's hop into the second part of this video.
Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm waiting for my Chipotle order. You guys probably saw the beginning of this video. I'm going to continue this video and talk about Wendell Moore, Josh Minnow, and Dave McCormick, as, those are the young guys that we've been watching in the Summer League. First off, Dave McCormick could land himself a 2-way contract. I go to the University of Kansas. I'm actually sitting here in Lawrence, Kansas. Just went and got myself my dog's dog food, iced tea, some pretzels, and now I got Chipotle. And the thing is Dave McCormick, Naz Reid originally started on a 2-way contract. Naz Reid was a power forward in college. Naz Reid, similar to Dave McCormick, were undersized. Dave McCormick's a little bit bigger, 6'9", with a 7-foot wingspan, 250. I think Naz Reid's like 6'8", 250. But they might be looking at Dave McCormick, and Naz Reid contract expires after this year, and be like, maybe we put Dave on a 2-way contract, see what he can do, because I personally have always been a big proponent that Dave McCormick should play football. He's literally the perfect tight end or defensive end. Imagine in the red zone, Dave McCormick catching touchdown passes. I have an article, I'll link it down below, where I wrote about the Kansas Jayhawks, 6 players who left after the championship squad, and that was one of the things I said about Dave McCormick. And first off, Josh Minnow was somebody that John Hollinger was huge on. Sam Vecino, not as much, but John Hollinger throughout the draft process, he was saying Josh Minnow's a stud. Coming out of Memphis, he was a 5-star recruit, or at the very least, he was a 4-star. I'm pretty sure he was a 5-star recruit. Josh Minnow was a guy that we all know that he was good enough to be a great player. It was all that he just couldn't shoot in college, could not shoot, couldn't hit the side. But I do think that's due to him not being in the proper environment, even though Larry Brown and Penny Hardaway are two NBA guys. I just think him now being in Minnesota with Chris Finch, a guy who came, I mean, Chris Finch coached all over Europe and all over the world, but he came from the Raptors bench, so he's learned, and we've seen it. A lot of the guys who've played for the Timberwolves have had career years now, shooting-wise, due to the fact that I think Chris Finch has inherited the coaching style of Nick Nurse in the terms of shooting. Nick Nurse is the best shooting teaching coach in the league, and that was hard to phrase right there. So I think Josh Minnow's in a right place. He's a guy who could play shooting guard, small forward, and even if he puts on some weight, could be a power forward. He's 6'8", guys, and he has what, a 6'10", 6'11" wingspan. Guy's a steal. And then we get ourselves Wendell Moore, who can play point guard, shooting guard, and small forward. And you're like, point guard? Yeah, dude, this past year in his third season at Duke, he was given the responsibility of ball handling, averaged 5 assists. He's a guy that I could easily see average 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 15 points as, you know, prime Wendell Moore. So those three guys right there, I think Dave gets a two-way contract. I think Wendell Moore and Josh Minnow will have bigger roles on this team than a lot of people are expecting them to. I think they're two players that are completely underrated, two players that deserve more attention than they have currently received. And I mean, I was blown away in the first summer league game that they were in, and I thought that was a blast to watch. I've always wondered why this has had a hole, but I don't have a, maybe there was one, but this would look stupid. Actually kind of looks fresh if it was like buttoned up this high. Kind of does, right? Zip taco meat popping out. But Dave McCormick, I think at this point I've convinced myself, put him on a two-way contract. We also have Matteo Spagnuolo. I haven't even talked about Matteo Spagnuolo. Tim Connolly has spoken about him wanting him to stay in Europe for one more year. And Matteo Spagnuolo, I'm 95% sure he's under contract with Real Madrid, but he was loaned out to a team this past season. And I think, yeah, keep him if you want in another year in Europe, but his shooting ability, career 40% three-point shooter, and he's looking like a 40% three-point shooter already in the summer league. I think at that point, you should just keep him on the roster, okay? I think he's a lot more valuable for us on the roster than not on the roster. And at this point, he's cheap. Sign him to a good deal. And I think that's what they're evaluating now. I think he has surprised them. I mean, he surprised me. I thought he needed a little bit more time. And I know the defense is a little suspect, but the guy's 6'6", almost 6'5", I believe, is his height. So he's more of a combo guard, even though coming into the pre-draft process, he was scouted and now, you know, the analysis said that, and even myself had said that he was a point guard. But it's looking more and more like he'll be a shooting guard. And at the very least, he's a shorter Marco Bellinelli, okay? Career 60% three-point shooter, career 40% three-point shooter. So, all in all, I do think it's a good situation for them. And yeah, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on everything. But that's the end of the video. I hope you guys, I'm going to go in and get my Chipotle.